Welcome back to From 9 to Mom, where we talk about balancing the 9 to 5 hustle with the beautiful chaos that we call motherhood.
Happy belated Valentine's Day. It's officially the 15th. We're past Valentine's Day. How was it in your guys' house?
The lead up to Valentine's Day was really cute. We did the hearts on the door.
Oh,
So
cute.
14 things I love about Colton, 14 things I love about Daisy. Had little gifts for everybody. Felt really good. Colton had a gift for me. We were feeling very Valentine's-y. It ended with a tantrum at the dinner table. Me and Jordan taking turns during Valentine's dinner, putting Colton to bed through tears. So it wasn't the most romantic of Valentine's days, but it was still, it was a day. It was a day. How about you?
It was good. We did. I was prepared. I think I've told you this story. I haven't told it on the podcast, but when Jack's first Valentine's Day, I felt so terrible that I didn't do anything for him because I just had gotten back to work. Like I was just getting in the groove of it and I forgot. And then I felt like such an asshole mom that I didn't have anything. So now I'm always making sure I have everything. So I had little baskets for them that we did in the morning, but then now Jack knows the word holiday. And he's like, is it a holiday? Is that this morning he woke up, holiday? Where's the holiday?
That's so
Asking
cute.
for the presents. And I got them, all like dollar store stuff just to have something cute for them to play with. But Ryan was a little mad because we'd never exchanged gifts for these types of things. Like we just kind of go on with the day, I suppose.
It's another day.
I got him a card because I went through the dollar store. Like I just grabbed a funny, like, we always get like either really religious ones for each other or like something out of a joke, like not that serious. But so I found one that was like to my husband with hearts and like the whole thing.
Super romantic.
So then magically yesterday he's like, hey, will you drop off the kids? Like I got to go and pick something up for my students at Wegmans before, so it magically came home with chocolate and flowers and a card. So I felt appreciated, but it was fun. I have 3 little Valentines, so it's cute.
Yeah, my girlfriend texted me this morning. I think it is hilarious because you did it and I did it first. And then a bunch of my friends did this. She's like, none of my friends posted about their husbands for Valentine's Day. They might have like nodded towards them existing, but it was all my friends' kids all over it. My little Valentines, it's my little loves.
The only other thing that I did do for Ryan was I got us it was for us, a heart-shaped pizza. So that was really good.
I did see that. That was very cute. Did
I make him go? I ordered it. He had to go pick it up.
I think that's fair though,
because we ate that
because
after the kids went to bed. So it was
you had the thought, he did the action, winning, and you ate it together with no tears. That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
Thanks.
We're
so cute.
It's so pathetic. I see these people on Instagram without kids or TikTok, and they are just so romantic and full of love and laughter. And we're just trying to make it through dinner without one of us screaming at the kids. But someday it'll be our Valentine's Day. But until then, sorry guys, got a hair here in my mouth. Cool. But someday it'll be our day again. But right now it is about the kids. And I feel more, even though Jordan and I exchanged little things, he walked to my office yesterday with brownies, macaroons, and a bottle of wine. Tried to pass it off as if he bought it for me.
Oh, yeah.
False. It was from the school. School sent it home.
I was going to say your mom went and got it.
I was like, you asshole. I knew. They sent me a message saying that we got gifts from them. But, Valentine's Day is over. We're on to the next, as Jack calls it, holiday. Colton wanted to do a redo because he was, Mom, I wasn't good yesterday and I ruined Valentine's. Can we do it again? Sorry, bud. Gotta wait till next year. So
we've entered the tantrum phase 2, and it's like he'll be in his tantrum and then we had one yesterday too, and he just is in his hitting phase. He came up and just smacked the shit out of me, and Ryan is like, no, like you do not hit your mom like that.
Yes.
Obviously for playing, but like it was not playing. And so Ryan had him in a timeout. They were going back and forth. He finally came over. Hey Mom, I'm all better.
I'm glad you're all better, Jack.
I'm happy now. I'm like, okay.
Great. We'll I guess we'll move past this one.
And I think too, we got one of our submissions was about Valentine's Day for the shit you can't make up. And these poor parents. And it's like so relatable to all of us. We say that it's about the kids right now, but her and her husband tried to celebrate Valentine's early. I'm assuming maybe last weekend they tried to go do something. So they planned out a whole
Smart.
day with brewery, dinner, couples, massages, the whole thing. Within a
Damn.
few hours of them being gone, text message from the parents, grandparents watching, saying that son was projectile vomiting, has done it several times.
I
We
can't do
both hate
stomach
vomit.
flu.
No,
I
I
hate
hate it.
vomiting.
So like that alone, no, thank you. And she was like, we just couldn't relax anymore. We ended up going home, which just sucks because you like planned the whole day. You know, you had to book those appointments. I hope that
You
you
get
got the
excited
spot.
for this one-on-one time. Yeah, I hope that they get to go back and enjoy that. But what a depressing sad end to an attempt at romance.
It's like, but it's so typical. Like it's so relatable. You can never make it out. Like it's like your kid's perfectly healthy and now all of a sudden projectile vomiting.
Yeah,
Like, how?
of course, the minute you walk out the door, they haven't even made it through the first event
Right.
and they
Right.
got to go home. I would have done the same thing, even though I
Super.
wouldn't have wanted to. I would have done the
Yeah, you
exact
would
same
have felt
thing.
bad. So yeah, today's topic, or I guess episode, we're going to be talking about true working moms, our setups, schedules, all that stuff. And we took a few polls that I know you have all the results of to kind of get us started.
I do. So the first poll that we did, thank you guys for responding, was what is your working situation? Meaning, are you working in an office, hybrid? What does that look like? So 31% of you said you're fully remote with kids at home. Another 38% said fully remote without kids at home. We have 8% of you with a hybrid situation, and then 23% are working fully in person at the office. And I I don't know why I'm always shocked by the numbers we get, but the amount of people working fully remote still after COVID is slightly surprising to me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm one of them. I know you're a hybrid,
Yep.
but it's just shocking to see and to see how I know how I feel working fully remote with kids. You and I have talked about this and we can get into that. But I'm curious to see what other people now. I wish we could ask that question, how they feel, because are they feeling as stir crazy as I am? So we
Yeah.
can get into that. And then the next question we asked, which we'll get into after, is the daycare situation. So 10% of you said you're fully in daycare. 10% said you have some nanny babysitter situation going on. 30% said they're using family to take care of the kids. And 50% split down the middle said that some hybrid of all of the above. And I know both you and I fall into that 50% category.
Right. And I think that's where I wish that we could be ask everyone to give exact details, because I am so curious. Like, you get stuck in your way of doing everything. And I'm like, man, like I can't imagine having both kids home and being able to work, but some people can make it work. And it also depends on the age of the kids, right? Like,
Absolutely. If
if
they're
they're a little
older
self-sufficient, different
and
story.
or like, are they coming home after school at 2:30 and that's
Right.
what you're looking at? And I think we get into that first, the different places of work, just
Right.
focusing on that alone, and then with kids or without kids, and then the daycare situation, because that adds a whole nother layer.
Right.
So I think we talk about our situations for how we're working. Like I said, I am fully remote with a kid. I have two kids, but fully remote with a kid home. And I'll focus on just the fact of being remote. My personality, a little bit different, Katie, than yours. We always say that, but it's true. I need human interaction. I need to feel alive. If I'm out and about in a busier setting, it motivates me. It gets me going. So I do struggle with the fully remote home. I miss that interaction with human beings. And I think when you have kids, whether they're here during the day or not, when they come home and your husband comes home who's been working out of the home, and I know some of you work with your husbands, God bless your souls, but those of you who have their husbands come home, I want to get out of the house the second we're done. And my family does not, because they've been out all day.
Mm-hmm.
So I really struggle with that because I feel trapped a lot in the house. And I know that other moms that are in my situation that I've talked to feel, some love it because they can do all sorts of stuff, but others feel trapped like I do. And it's this loss of freedom that I feel. And it has nothing to do with having kids or working. It's the fact that my jobs, both momming and working, are in the same place. I find that hard.
Yeah. And I think the only way I can fully relate to that is pre-kids. I was in a, before we even worked together, I was in a fully remote position and working out of mine and Ryan's apartment. He would go to work every day and come home and I'd be like, let's go out to dinner. Let's go do something. And he'd be like, I just want to sit on the couch. And I'm like, no, I've been here all day. Like, let's go do something, please. And I didn't have the option, kind of like how you are. You're kind of isolated from the company. It's not like you even have an option to go every once a month or something like that. So that does add a layer of it on top of it. And I think now coming we out of COVID, like people have just accepted like that's how it is. And the days I'm home now, I'm like productive in both my jobs, be mom, wife, that, and there, because I'm using my work at home days. I multitask as much as I can.
And you should. And I think that's what people love about it. And when you look at these numbers, it's over 70% of people who are in some kind of remote or hybrid situation. And everyone you talk to, and now you go on TikTok, watch the news, whatever it may be, this generation, I know it frustrates the shit out of my parents and some of the other generations that we don't want to go fully back in the office. But I think we got a little bit of a taste of what it feels like to enjoy both your job and your family and to see that piece. And I think also going and being able to, instead of on your break, going and shooting the shit with somebody over the water cooler, we'll call it, you throw a load of laundry in, and then when your family comes home at night, you're not so stressed running around doing. But then it's also as a leader and someone who's managing people, which both of us have to do, it is also sometimes hard because we like to say millennial managers. So we understand
millennial managers.
That guy. I'm a combo, as you know, but I'm very close to that. And we're like, yeah, do what you got to do. Like, I'm doing what I got to do. Then in the same breath, you're like, shit, this person hasn't responded to me in 2 hours. What the hell are they doing?
Right.
So it's tough.
It's such that mix still. And there's so many jobs that there is no option to even be remote. I know nurses, people that work in healthcare, right? I mean, teachers, for example, and like it's full no matter what. They haven't even kind of felt that since COVID. They haven't felt this shift.
Jordan is gone. I mean, he's gone to work every day too, and just like Ryan. There was never, I think there was 2 weeks that they told him to stay home while they figured things out. And I know a lot of people, for those people, they don't know the difference. But then there's a lot of people I've talked to who are in that situation where they are now being forced back into the office. And I think there's multiple reasons why companies are doing this. I think that there's a collab piece missing that they're trying to get back. Some people are trying to see which employees are. There's a lot of reasons why people are doing this, let's be honest. But how hard would it be if all of a sudden, for us, they were just like, come in every day or lose your job?
Well, and look at how our pull of the breakdown of the daycare situation. Some people have taken on the daycare at home because their job allows them to do that. And if they had to go do that, it cuts your salary when you got to get them back into daycare or whatever, the setup is. Not everyone has. I mean, there was 30% we said family. There's
30% family.
Not everyone has that option that's so close, or parents that are still capable. I mean, watching kids is hard freaking work.
Yes. And I know that both you and I, so for the people who don't know, both Katie and I have hybrid situations for our daycare, but both of us leverage parents or in-laws or some kind of that combo. And I think how lucky I am to have that because, like you said, not only I had a second kid. Colton's always gone to daycare. He was born right before COVID. So that was just the expectation, and he thrived in daycare. So the idea of pulling him out just didn't make sense. And there are things I miss about both kids being in daycare. So like we talked about, fully remote with kids at home. I have one kid at home, one not at home. The biggest blessing in the world to be able to be home, watch Daisy, like grow and be able to see her. I know I complain sometimes, but like see her outside my window, or when I go on my lunch break, be able to see her. She's with my mom. So I'm watching that 3 generations of women in the house raising. It's the true village scenario. But with daycare, you have this different freedom. When you drop those kids off, what you do with your time is your time.
Yes.
So now there's a new layer of mom guilt that I didn't have with Colton. If I go run an errand instead of sit at lunch with my mom and Daisy, I feel guilt. If I would do that all the
You
time.
used to do that when
All
Colton
the
was
time.
gone, so you'd be kind of ahead before the night shift. We'll call it the night
Yes.
shift. Like
Let's call it the night shift. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's so with mine being a hybrid, the days I'm home, Ryan gets home well before our offices close. So I feel like I've got to get all my work done and be wrapped up to be here and be ready to hang out with the kids by 4 o'clock on the days that I work at home. Because otherwise I'm like, how I'm going to go sit and work for that 1 extra hour when I could, those are the days I get the extra time with
Yeah.
them. Because the days I go to the office, I don't get home till 5:30. And these kids, we start bedtime 6:45. So it's an
they're asleep.
hour. And so that makes it hard too when you are in office, you miss the kid. Like there's just pros and cons to each situation. The days that I'm home, I'm so excited for them to get home. I have a thing where like I always go and pretend I'm sleeping on the couch and Jack runs in and has to wake me up when
That's
I'm
so
home.
cute.
I'm like, this kid probably thinks I just sleep at home. Like he's off wherever and I sleep at home. But he loves it when he comes home. He's like, Mom's sleeping. And he'll pretend to tiptoe in. So like it's pros and cons to both situations. And then like the people that are in office full time, I mean, there's people work different shifts. It's not always Monday through Friday 9 to 5. So
Yeah,
like
there's
different.
overnight shifts, the second shift, weekends, and I used to
Right.
work weekends for 10 years. I worked
Yeah.
weekends before I had kids, and I can't imagine what that feels like. I know one of my friends, her and her husband are both in the medical field. They do every other weekend, and they have a day off during the week together, which is really nice.
Right.
But at the same time, their daycare situation is so
Makes it a
strange.
pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not open on Saturdays and Sundays.
It's tough. And you talk to people, I think, as we were preparing for this episode and seeing what other people were thinking. I was talking to a friend of mine who has a nanny, like the mix of having a nanny babysitter. She has no family around, nanny babysitter, and then her and her husband work different shifts. So her job and his job allow them to take turns. But the problem is when it's her turn and she has to go do something and she has to ask for support, it feels like a huge ask. And it's a guilt complex to do basic stuff like go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Like it's not fun to get a pap smear, guys, but we gotta go. And you're like, hey, I gotta go to the gyno. And even that, my mom never
That's your
judges
alone
that,
time.
but that's your alone time.
You don't enjoy?
It's like not fun. Like I don't want to ask you to do this, but that's what she's asking for support for. And since there is no family, she can't be like, Mom, can you come over and watch the baby so I can get my Schwab? No, like her husband has to come home from work or they have to figure out a second situation.
Yeah, it adds a whole nother layer to it. But for what our situations are, what's one thing that maybe like helps you keep your sanity if you have any left?
I don't know that I have sanity, but I think something I do, and if you looked at I've been doing it for over a year since Daisy was born. I'm on the gratitude train because I really believe if you start your day with gratitude, if you start your day with gratitude, and I'm doing it every day. And I'll just read you, like, I'm looking at the date. I picked a different date because there wasn't as much stuff because I took Monday off. So my gratitude on Monday was Daisy kisses, Steina visiting, and birthday celebrations. But Daisy, like, some days I want to jump ship because I feel like she's at my door every 5 minutes. You've seen the videos. I'll post some for you of her licking my door, Mama, and I'm trying to work, and it breaks my soul. Or Colton yells butthole, like we've talked about, in the middle of a call. So those moments can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, I'm so glad that I get to see her at this stage. So I think the thing that gives him, or my mom, my husband hates, she knows this, so I can say it out loud. he can't stand that she leaves the sponge in the sink. It's so stupid. But every day, the sponge is in the sink, no matter what I've done to make it so it's not there. And it's the one thing he bitches about every day. And it drives me just, one of you just give it up. But then I think about the fact, how lucky am I that my mom is healthy enough, young enough, left her life in New York to come raise my baby so that I to help me financially and emotionally. So then if I write that down and start the day that way. So I really think for me, one thing that has helped is gratitude. And then the other thing is once a week that I've started trying to do is getting out and going and working somewhere else or exploring somewhere else or getting lunch with somebody that's a professional. So I would say that's what helps me keep my sanity. How about you?
Mine's not as like spiritual or like nice, but that's like my
Okay. That's okay.
like so I think the only thing that keeps me like in check is when we have our schedule. I mean, how many times have I said it? Like when we're off our schedule, me and Ryan like go nuts. We can't function. And for me, it's like we thrive on it. Like some people get annoyed when it's like same things, but like every week I do the same things on every Friday and it preps us for the weekend and it makes it so like I don't have to do any of my like chores through the
Yeah.
weekend. I can maximize my time with the kids so that I don't feel that guilt when I drop them during the week because I'm like, I got them all weekend. It was great. I
And you're
didn't have
ready to
to
go.
leave or whatever it is, you know, like, so I try to get all my chores done during the week so that I can maximize the weekend time. Cause if we have a great weekend, I feel good about the week. So like
Yeah.
if I can
I
not,
agree with that.
if I don't have to go out for the grocery store for 2 hours Saturday morning and I get that time at home with them and I can go take Jack for donuts instead of the grocery store, like I feel so much better dropping him Monday morning.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
it's like I'm sick of them by Monday, so I'm like ready to kick everyone out.
get
But
out of here.
that, and then I think too, like my personality, I need some alone time. So when I can work the days that I have at home and there's no kids here, it's very healthy for me to like have that independent time to like work on what I need to. If I need to get something organized, like all the prep work keeps me really together.
Yeah. I can see how that would be beneficial. I think that for me, I wish I could do that 2 days a week. Daisy being here and my mom being here, I like both of them a lot. So you're just deciding, do I do the spreadsheet or do I go sit and have lunch with them?
Right.
And I know that there's other people who work with, I've talked to babysitters actually. This sounds terrible. That like have told me stories, but people say that they've nannied for couples. They're both home. So
Mm-hmm.
the kid is never really alone. And there's always a form of guilt from either parent. Like, should we be
Yeah.
out there doing that? What should I prioritize?
Yeah.
So, and I can't go out there and start cleaning. Like, I have an hour gap, say. I feel like I can't go start cleaning my bedroom so I don't have to do it and over the weekend. If my mom's watching Daisy,
That's
I can't
totally that's
do
something
that.
that's something I would for sure struggle with if my kids were home because there's so many times where I drop them at my in-laws for during the day and I'm like I feel bad even telling them that like hey I because I drop at 8 and I try to get something done before work starts like
Yep,
whatever it
you
is.
should.
So sometimes like Fridays I drop it a little before 8 and I go and do the grocery store as quick as I can before we start at 9:30 on Fridays. And
But
I
you're
try to get
doing
it
it
done.
to get more
Feel
time with
guilty,
them.
like you feel guilty being
Yeah.
like, bye, mom. Like I'm leaving to go to the grocery store. Like you feel so guilty, like saying you're going to do a chore, like not work.
Yeah, because you're dropping them off so you can go to work. But at the same time, you going to do that every Friday sets you up for that weekend and
Yeah,
being present. And at the at the end of it all, your parents want that for you. Your in-laws want
yeah,
you and Ryan to have a good life. They
yeah.
offered to babysit for a reason, but
Right.
also depending on if you pay, I know some people who pay their parents, who don't pay their parents. Daycare is a simple solution. You
It's a
pay
very
your
good point.
daycare. You pay your
To
daycare.
if you're so here's like a moral dilemma because Ryan has days off. Luckily, our daycare coincides with his vacation, but there's people where it doesn't. So if you're somebody that gets President's Day next Monday. If you get that day off, you got to pay daycare anyway, and they're open. Are you bringing your kid or are you keeping him home?
So in my experience, I've done both, but I say drop them off because the reality is their routine. You talk about your schedule. Think
I
about
know.
kids. Kids'
Right.
schedules are even
It's,
more important
right.
than adults. And for you that day, you could either we don't have it off. We don't. You and I don't have it off. But it's Jordan's 40th birthday, so I do have part of it off. But
Right.
normally, I would drop if it was just Colton. I would drop him off to school. I would probably go pick him up early. So then I'd go pick
Okay.
him
Oh,
up.
yeah.
We'd go do a little fun activity, whether that's the
Yeah.
playground if it's nice, go get lunch or dinner, like an early dinner and ice cream. So that's kind of what I've always done with Colton because I know everybody feels differently, but for me, that's time you get that you don't normally get to get shit done in your home life. And
Yep.
then you're still spoiling them. You're still picking them up early.
Right.
You
Like you're
haven't
still
screwed
that
up their schedule.
special. They don't, and that's the other thing. They don't know that you're going home to, I mean, Jack thinks I come home and sleep. So like he doesn't,
Yeah, he thinks you're.
no,
That's the worst part from working at home. And I want to know other people's stories about this because you do it as a joke. But Colton now thinks that me and my mom and Daisy play all day
without him.
without him.
Yeah.
And there was a day where we didn't have work
Mm-hmm.
and we played all day. And so now he thinks that's
The
what
way.
we do. So he cries and says, I want to stay with you and Daisy. So the other day we kept him home out of
Yeah.
pure principle to show him. I worked all day. We did nothing fun. He was so pissed. He's like, we didn't do anything fun. We didn't do anything I wanted to
Had to
do.
prove it to him. Yeah.
Dude, this is what we do. It's not fun. Go
Yeah.
play with your friends. Play outside.
It is funny you say that because the age difference between the two of them, like developmentally, they're so far off just because, you know, between now and 5 years old, it's so
So different.
different. I think Jack would actually, they spend only one day apart during the week and otherwise they're together. And I never really think about like, we haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, we got to take Jack on a special date, like just us, because
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. Like they are thriving together right now. And I think the second that Kelvin starts walking, they're going to look like
two peas in a
twins.
pod. They do
Like
look
people are
like
going to,
twins.
like Kelvin's going to be bigger, that like they're going to look like twins. And then I'm never going to be able to separate them.
Which is going to be awesome. But at the same time, if you were in this situation for some reason, Colton's obsessed with Daisy, even though they're different. But I think spending the whole day with her, he realized she's not going and playing soccer outside or she's
Right.
naps for a few hours a
Whatsoever.
day. Like she's not going to color pictures with you and do Legos. You can't take them out around her. Where in your situation and people who have kids closer together like that, Colton is obsessed with her and cried for her last night because she went to bed while he was crying in his room. But they're not besties in terms of they do everything together where your kids are besties. Right. So people with them home are in a unique situation, or if one of them is home. And I think I don't think what I'm doing is probably the most, maybe it is with you have one kid in full-time daycare and one kid at home, but I am sorry. Our next poll is going to be how much do you pay for daycare a month?
We should.
Daisy was $1,800 a month for a log when she was a log that literally just needed to be fed. Cuddles. I would do it for free, like $1,800. At least Colton's learning.
It is really insane, and I feel like it's such a hot topic going around right now. There's some people that have misconceptions on how much daycare should cost that are in the older generations, and they're curious as to why millennials and we're all broke. Why are we all broke? Because we're paying, upwards of 50% of somebody's. It's just so crazy, but we'll have to do that. You could tell we're very passionate about this project because this is officially our longest podcast ever.
Oh yeah, you're right. I just looked at the time. And as we were talking, I'm laughing because everyone's listening. The government, no, I'm not saying that. I got a hybrid, like, I can't remember what was said, but like hybrid woes or hybrid struggles. That beep you heard earlier in the call was an email. So someone heard me and sent me something about. So if it's any good, I'll share it.
They prompted it right away.
But yeah, we have a lot more to talk about on this topic. But today, I think we just wanted to get out there. How many people are in which situation? What's the pros and cons of each? We didn't give you guys any real tips or tricks this week, just more passionately discuss what our thoughts were. But we'll do another podcast.
Share your situations with us. We want to hear from you guys. And I think it's time for us to clock out, maybe a part 2 to this topic.
This might be a part 2. Yeah, comment. We'll put a poll out there and put an open-ended. What are some things you want to hear more about in regards to this topic? And we'll see if there's anything else we can uncover or ask a friend if they've got any advice. So
Absolutely.
we'll talk
All
to you
right.
guys next week.
Bye.